Hello, my name is Gareth. You're watching the Hub Online Network. Sorry we're a little bit late today. It's 3:06 currently. We got a lot of stuff to get to, so let's get through it right now. Awesome. So, again, my name is Gareth. We have Trory on the switcher today, and we have Matthias sitting with us in studio. How you doing today, Matthias?
Oh, hey. Another day, another dollar. Just hanging out here at the Hahn with my good buddies Gareth and Trory, and Jessica's over there somewhere too.
Yeah, Jessica is on chats right now, so if you are interested in letting us know what you think, you can message Jessica in the chats, or you can give me a call at 778-694-4662. Jessica's in the studio. Still going here. Okay, so Matthias, how was your weekend? You graduated over the weekend.
Yeah, I did my graduation ceremony. I was impressed with the graduation ceremony, to be honest. I think a lot of the grads were. We were kind of expecting to go there and just stand and smile and wave for like 3 people. But in Cache Creek, at least when we stood along the road and had those drive-bys, a lot of people came. I was impressed with the amount of people that came out to show support for the grads and say congratulations. In Ashcroft, I'd say I like the parade better, but I might be a little bit biased because I live in Ashcroft. But yeah, it was just a great experience. It's unfortunate that we would have had the movie and it had to be canceled because of the wind, but you know, it's 2020. I think I would have been more disappointed if something didn't go drastically wrong.
Yep, that's fair enough. Now, I think we have some footage of the grad drive-bys. So if we can get those going now, that'd be awesome. So, Matthias, being the person that has graduated and being one of the only grads that got to film all of this, because if you're at home, we do have a larger grad video on our YouTube channel. So what was it like for you, being a graduate, doing all the filming and taking part in all of the festivities like that?
I felt like my experience was a lot different than the rest of the grads who didn't get to do a lot of things that I did. I'm very lucky to have been working on the video as a graduate. One experience that I think I'll always look back on as being a really definitive experience in my graduation was I got to film the walkout. So every year, the graduates do this thing where they walk through the school and all the students and teachers will applaud them as they walk out. And obviously we can't do that this year because of social distancing, but with a camera for a shot in the video, I got to walk past all of the teachers as they clapped at me. And that was a very, very, very weird, but nonetheless, personally interesting experience for me. But it comes with a little bit of regret because the rest of my classmates who also worked very hard and earned that experience didn't get it, but I did. So feels bad, but.
Now, using movie magic, how many times did you have to redo that to get that shot that you wanted?
To be honest, I did it one time.
Oh.
I did it twice, but one of the shots was very, very amateur, and it didn't look very good at all. And I only got really one shot. The teachers were busy. They all had things they had to go and do, so I didn't want to keep them stuck in that hallway for too long. Because yeah, talking to my teachers, things are wild around the school. Work is not necessarily more intense, but there's so many different measures that it's like learning how to do everything with your left hand.
Right.
You know, it's like you already know how to write, but it's different when you're doing it with your left hand. That's the experience that I'm feeling that the teachers are going through right now with relearning how to do everything in regards to education.
And being such a small grad class, what was having spoken with all of your other graduates as well, what's the general consensus as to the feeling about having your graduation this year during COVID? Is it everybody's ready to just move on, or is everybody really disappointed that they didn't get the grad ceremony, as it were?
So yeah, the general consensus is that this sucks, and no one's really having a good time, especially now. I know a lot of people have worked a lot harder than I have to graduate with like honors, and who have worked really hard throughout school for this experience of graduation. And now it feels like, while we still get the credentials for how hard we worked in schools, it feels like it doesn't matter.
Right.
Which is, it's demoralizing for a lot of people. And this thing that we've based the whole last 12 years of our life have been based around getting to this graduation ceremony. And now that we're not getting it, my whole, like, not me personally, but the consensus is that life just seems really uncertain. But I think that there's a valuable lesson to be learned in that, you know, you can plan for something for 12 years, and in the end it won't necessarily go right. So I think we all learned something in that regard, at least.
Are there very many graduates that you know of that are going to be going to post-secondary school right away, or are a lot of people taking a year off? Or
I had a very academic class. Most of my peers are going to post-secondary education. Of course, there are people who aren't, who are going to go in the workforce right away, which is an equally valid decision. But I wouldn't say there's anyone in my grad class who I look at and think they're going to have a hard time making it. I think everyone in my grad class is going to do very well after everything's back to normal.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's Matthias is talking about the graduating class of 2020, and congratulations to any of the graduates that are watching. I did a little bit of teaching myself in this district, and I know most of you. And hey, it's bittersweet to see you guys go, but good luck in the future. And moving on for us. So we're going to talk about, this is going to be a little bit of a disjointed show today. We do have plans to make the show more interesting for people at home with a more consistent layout. But we did a marketing video class this morning that took up a lot of time that we would have normally had to do this show. So I'm going to be a little bit disjointed. I apologize for that. So I'm going to start off with Brad Viss and what he says on Twitter. As we normally do, we follow Brad and Jackie, our MP and MLA. So Brad says, I am in Ottawa on Wednesday when the House will debate the supplementary estimates. The overall package totals $87 billion with $6 billion in new spending. The Liberal government has only allocated 4 hours for Parliament to study and approve the estimates, which normally is not the amount of time that would be put aside for this. They would typically have days to talk about $87 billion with an extra $6 billion in new spending, so that's pretty significant. And of course, Brad Viss will be there on your behalf for our riding. And if you have anything that you would like to say, Brad Viss also advocates that you can call him. You can message him on Facebook, find him on Twitter, or give his office a call. He would love to take your phone calls. Jackie Taggart says, British Columbians looking to go camping this summer are potentially paying double what they would for a single campsite. Having already cut the parks budget in February, the NDP are taking advantage of British Columbians who just need a break. Now this comes through a news article on Vancouver Island Free Daily, which says that BC parks are getting flack from disgruntled campers being forced to pay full price for double campsites, despite occupancy being reduced to half their original capacity. When provincial campsites opened June 1st, double site limits were reduced from two camping parties, each of up to 4 adults and 4 children, to 1 due to revised regulations to accommodate physical distancing. So if that's the case and campsites are charging double, please let us know if you come across that. And let us know if you plan to go camping and where you plan to go camping this summer, because you are pretty much asked to stick to BC only. And I also know that Matthias is planning on going camping here pretty soon.
I am planning on going camping with my my grad class. Hopefully, we're gonna get a lot of the guys in my grad class together, and we're kind of gonna go out for one last trip with one another before we all go off to our respective places. I don't know. Some of us are going to Kamloops, some Vancouver, all over the place. So hopefully, we're not charged double. I had not heard about that before now. That will be an interesting issue for us to overcome. Maybe we'll have to be doing some backyard camping or something like that.
Well, how many are you guys planning on going and having physical distancing in your camping, or are you just planning to just go camping and whatever will be, will be?
For me, I'm close to my mom a lot, who works at a hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I'm going to physically distance for the safety of the patients that my mom works with. My personal general sentiment around social distancing when I've hung out with people is, if you want to do it or if you don't want to do it, I cannot stop you. It is not the law, but me personally, I'm going to socially distance. Please respect my space. And I ask that if someone else wants to socially distance, that you respect their space. And I think that that's kind of a nice middle ground to be at, because you're not going to get everyone to stay 6 feet apart, especially at a campsite with a bunch of boys.
Are you planning on having one campsite for the lot of you, or are you wanting to take over, like you get one and I don't know anybody's name, but Jonathan gets another?
For price reasons, I think we're all just going to go for one.
Yep.
Just because, renting a bunch of campsites where we're a bunch of teenagers who work minimum wage jobs, it just wouldn't be financially viable.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think we're just going to get one.
Cool. Well, we'll have to get let us know what happens when you come back from that. So that is awesome. Well, not awesome for people that are camping. We're planning on going camping, I believe, once or twice this summer as well, so we'll have to keep you guys all up to date on what happens with us. Now, talking about the government, many playgrounds and play structures are starting to reopen, although going to a playground is low risk for exposure to COVID-19. There are things you can do to make you and your family and your friends stay safe. So, if your child feels sick or has symptoms of COVID-19, stay at home. Don't share toys or equipment with other kids outside of your family. Wash your hands with soap and water before and after playing after using the playgrounds, or use hand sanitizer. Avoid crowded playgrounds and minimize physical contact between kids. Adults should keep 2 meters apart. And check if the playground and its bathrooms or change rooms are open. And you can learn more at bccdc.ca for new rules and regulations around campsites in British Columbia. What else we got? So, provincial state of emergency due to COVID-19 has been extended. So this is as of June 10th. The government of British Columbia has extended the provincial state of emergency until the end of end of day, June 23rd, 2020. The state of emergency allows the province to continue to use extraordinary powers under the Emergency Program Act to support the COVID-19 pandemic response. The state of emergency will be in effect for 14 days, but may be extended or rescinded as necessary. So that is an interesting turn of events, and I'm sorry I missed that on Friday's show, but we'll get to everything eventually. Also, the Canada-US border closure remains in place until late July. This is a story from City News and News 1130. So, the Canada-US border is expected to remain closed to non-essential travel until late July, sources tell Reuters. Reuters is also reporting a majority of provinces have privately told the federal government they don't want to resume non-essential travel. The ban prohibits discretionary travel, but vacations and cross-border shopping without restrictions, trade, commerce, and essential employees. BC's health minister previously said that after watching COVID-19 case counts spike earlier this month in nearby states, it should be reason enough to keep the borders closed past the current deadline. On Wednesday, Canada's Deputy Prime Minister wouldn't confirm it, but also says talks are continuing on both sides after the reports the border would stay closed longer. So if you're a person that needs to go back and forth or would like to go back and forth to the States, let us know what your thoughts are about how that's going for you. One of the things that a lot of people are talking about is having family on the other side of the border. My understanding is that you would be able to get in contact with your family members, although that is not something that is covered in the article. So, what do you think about that? Have you ever been to the States?
I've not been to the States, actually. I've been to Germany one time, but no, I've never been to the States. I think I know quite a few people that my mom is friends with have, not quite a few, but a couple were in the States when the state of emergency started, and it's been a whole process trying to get through. I really feel for the people that are either stuck in Canada or stuck in America, separated from their friends, family, houses. It's just a horribly awkward situation to be in.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy out there. Okay, so now let's talk about the last week we briefly spoke about what happened last week in the Cache Creek Council meeting, but we thought that it would be a good thing to talk about again with the piece of paper or the information that Sue Peters handed out during that meeting. But we're going to play just a little clip of what happened there. It's about 3 or 4 minutes long, and make sure to turn off our microphones, Troy. So check that out, and we'll be back in a few minutes.
I would like to speak up, and I would like to say something about this because it's becoming a bit of a toxic environment, and I don't feel I should keep quiet. This is a small community, and the council, at least on my part, is mandated to protect the village, the community, and engage the businesses within the community as much as possible. Conflicts of interest may arise, or perceived conflicts of interest, but because there is no decision making by the people perceived as conflict of interest, I don't think there is a conflict of interest. We can say very well that, okay, because Mayor Talarico has his son operating a machinery, should not be part of this recovery or responses, flood responses. Maybe we should not get our fleet cars being inspected at Channers because there is some conflict of interest.
They aren't getting inspected at
They are.
Channers.
They
No,
are.
aren't.
They are. I have the bills and I can prove they
They're
are.
The one you.
So we cannot employ now the machine shop because the spouse of one of our public work is employed there. So I don't understand why is this fixation. Because we as a council, we as an organization have to employ the businesses within the community.
Yes.
That is our mandate.
Businesses within our community,
Yes,
not
the
just the
businesses.
one organization. And I just want to clarify, I receive phone calls and questions and concerns about this. This is why I've asked for it to be on the agenda. You can answer them. People can read it, read the response, and make their own judgment. That's what I was elected to do, to come forward.
Okay, and I would like
And
to
so
respond.
that's why I'm saying.
And I have a logistics log that shows every single phone call and the time I made them, and each and every one of those contractors were called. So it's not one contractor that we're using all of them. When they didn't come, it was because they were on other jobs, they didn't have the equipment available to do it, or they just chose not to.
Well,
So-
like I said, I've received phone calls and that's why it's here.
And I'm just saying that it was a fair and equal system that was used, and I have backup to prove it.
It's good to get these things out
Yes,
into
it
the
is.
public.
It's important, so the people have it called ask questions, I'm asking, you're giving the response. If they want further information, they can.
I would just ask that you stop sending me emails saying that I've been listening to the past year and it's time we stop all the conflict of interest issues and represent the citizens of Cache Creek and not our own personal egos and financial gains. I find that offensive. And that's to quote an email you sent to me.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Any further comments on the motion?
So overall, it was a very tense room. Now you, of course, watched this. And we're going to read what the paper that Sue Peters handed out says. But what were your thoughts on that chunk of video?
Well, personally, I thought that that specific video kind of puts you in the mindset to be in favor of, sorry, I'm not sure what their names are. Who was the lady who handed out the papers?
That was Councillor Peters.
Councillor Peters. You're kind of put on the side of Councillor Peters because of the phrasing of the video, but I definitely feel like both sides of the argument here have a fair point, and I think in my opinion, it should have been looked into deeper. It should have been looked into deeper than just, no, it's not happening. I feel like the room could have put more effort in actually considering the issue and less effort into being offended by the claims, in my opinion.
So what the paper says, and I'm not sure if she actually read this in the video itself, but we're going to read it again even if she did. So the whole thing is about conflict of interest, and so this brings up the definition of a conflict of interest. So a situation in which the concerns or aims of two different parties are incompatible. Quote, the conflict of interest between elected officials and corporate lobbyists. A situation in which a person is in a position to derive personal benefit from actions or decisions made in their official capacity. So quote, Watson quit his job after questions about the possible conflict of interest. Under the Community Charter of BC Division 6, Conflict of Interest, Section 102 states, a council member must not use his or her office to attempt to influence in any way a decision, a recommendation, or other action to be taken, B, by an officer or an employee of the municipality. Section 103 states, in addition to the restrictions under Section 102, a council member must not use his or her office to attempt to influence in any way a decision, recommendation, or action to be made or taken by any other person or body. If the member has a direct or indirect pecuniary interest in the matter in which the decision, recommendation, or other action relates. So in this particular situation, according to Stu Peters, for Mayor Tallarico to be in conflict of interest in regards to the village's use of IBEX civil excavating, he would have to have had influence in the decision to use them during recent flood events, and he was not. As logistics coordinator for the village of Cache Creek, those decisions were made by myself in conjunction with Incident Command or Public Works and or our EOC director. Those decisions were based on availability, available equipment, and equipment capability. Local contractors were called on a rotation, and the first available that met the criteria was given the job. For the record, contractors used throughout the event include High Torque Mechanical, Ivan Ho, Ibex Civil Excavating, Larry Van Leest Construction, Bonaparte Band, H&M Contracting, not local but doing work in town and helped us out. Coyote Valley Contracting was offered work but was working other jobs and declined. Pricing of all emergency work is mandated by EMBC to Blue Book rates. Respectfully submitted by Council June 8th, 2020, Susan Sue Peters. So, it's a very interesting thing that is going on. Now, in a small town, of course, there's only so many options that you have.
Exactly.
Previous in Ashcroft, one of the previous mayors was Andy Anderson, who owns Home Hardware.
Yeah.
So if you have to go get nails, where do you go?
Yeah, I mean, a similar point was brought up, and that they were bringing some of their service cars to a local shop in which someone was related to someone who worked there. Once again, I'm not like overtly familiar with the area. But yeah, they brought up a good point. Should we not bring our cars here? Like, where else are we supposed to bring them? And I do completely agree. I think that this is one of those issues where it's a one-time issue, and maybe once this is solved, it won't come up again. Unless, yeah, but like they said, unless the mayor was directly involved in saying, yeah, we should use IBEX. We should use IBEX, which, according to everyone who was around during the decision-making process, that wasn't the case. So I'm more lean to the side that it wasn't a conflict of interest. And in the video, he did mention that IBEX was one of the last contractors called even. They didn't even prioritize IBEX. IBEX was just one of the first ones to say, yeah, we can do it. So I think it really just was a matter of availability. I don't think that they contracted IBEX because it's the mayor's son. I just don't think that was the case.
Alternatively to that, I guess as the counter argument, should these things not be brought up? So Councillor Pittman is the one that was posing these questions. The reason that she's saying that she's posing these questions is because people in the village were asking her about this specific issue. Should she not bring it up?
No, not at all. She should definitely bring it up. I don't think she should be ridiculed for posing the question that it might be a conflict of interest, because it's important to discuss it and decide whether it is or isn't. And I think that if the conversation had gone more in the direction of, oh, well, yes, is it a conflict of interest or isn't it? And everyone just discussed the issue instead of picking sides, I think it could have gone it could have been a much smoother meeting and a little bit less tense. But I do think it was an important issue to bring up. I completely agree. And I think the public should be made aware that this was a possible issue, and now that now it has been solved, I suppose.
Interesting. All right, so we're going to move on from that, and we're going to talk about the numbers for today. So we're going to say that on June 12th. So what's happening is we go live at 3-ish, and typically we don't have the new numbers for the day. So we gave all the numbers up to before we went on live on Friday. So the new numbers for Friday was there was 16 new cases and 1 new death. And we're going to listen to what Dr. Bonnie Henry had to say today just about the numbers. Oh, wait, I lost it. There it is.
Thank you and good afternoon. So for today, we are reporting on 3 periods of our COVID-19 cases. So from Friday to Saturday, we had 14 people who tested positive for COVID-19 in the province. Saturday to Sunday, we had an additional 16 people test positive, and from Sunday to today, an additional 6 cases. So that brings our total to 36 new cases, and our overall total to 2,745 people with COVID-19 in British Columbia. And that includes 934 people in the Vancouver Coastal Health Region, 1,420 in the Fraser Health Region, 130 people in Vancouver Island Health Region, 195 people in the Interior Health Region, and 65 people in Northern Health. We have no new healthcare outbreaks to report over the weekend, although on a positive note, the South Granville Park Lodge outbreak at long-term care home has been declared over as of today. So that leaves us with 4 active outbreaks in our healthcare system.
So what does that mean for Interior Health is that we haven't had a new case for a while. In the Interior, most of these things are down to, all of these things are actually down to Vancouver. I don't believe that Vancouver Island has seen a new case for a while. We haven't seen a new case for a while, and Northern BC hasn't seen a new case for a while. So all of these are pretty much restricted to Fraser Valley and Vancouver. But the numbers did go from about 5 a day back up to 14 and 16 a day over the last week. So please remember to stay safe if you have to travel. Try and be physically distanced. There are still people out there that have it, so keep yourself safe and everybody that you got to come home to safe. What are your thoughts on the uppages of numbers over the last week? If you have any.
I don't really have any thoughts on it. I mean, they'll stop eventually, you know, like that's my only thought on it. When I see that the numbers keep going up and up and up, the only thing I think is just, okay, eventually, if everyone just keeps doing their job, this won't happen. Soon, if everyone stays socially distanced, if everyone is careful, these numbers will stop going up and we will start seeing declines. And that's just what's kind of getting me through, seeing all these numbers going up. It's just the thought that one day it'll be over, you know?
Well, in the States right now, they were on a decline, and then they reopened up, and all of these protests were going on. And I'm not blaming the protests for this. I'm not blaming anything for this. I think this is just a symptom of normalcy. But they have seen larger spikes happening again in bigger cities in the States at this moment. So, and in Ottawa and Ontario currently as well. So where we're seeing 15 people a day, Ontario's seeing just shy of 200 still.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's.
I mean, that's good. So that gives us a reason as people in a province to be proud of our like stoicism in the face of this. We've all just been staying at home. We've all been doing what we have to do to prevent the spread, and so now our numbers are smaller than everyone else's.
Right? Yeah, Dr. Bonnie Henry has been doing a great job.
Yeah.
So, what do we got now? There is a BC Rural and First Nations Health and Wellness Summit coming up. Let me just make this a little bit bigger so I can read it. Okay, so an opportunity to collaboratively plan, facilitate, and communicate to improve rural access, quality, and efficiency, moving forward together from rural innovation to system legacy. So when is this going on? Mornings of June 29th and 30th, 2020. Tentative schedule 8 to 12:30. Where? Virtually on Zoom in First Nations, rural, and remote communities across BC. Who's invited? Citizens/community members, health administrators, health care providers, policymakers, academia, linked sectors, and nonprofit organizations. And you can share your perspectives and connect with other healthcare partners across BC on improving access, quality, and efficiency of rural healthcare. You can register at https://rccbc.ca/summit. Jessica will put that into our chat. And for more information, details, FAQs, and updates, please visit the website rccbc.ca. Please check that out. That is shared to us by our local citizen, David Dirksen, who has his finger on the pulse for everything revolving health in our area. And we have some information about the Ashcroft Terminal Community Working Group. So because this is a public thing, we are capable of sharing the names, which is a pretty good list. So our members of the community working group are Andy Anderson, who is the co-chair, Patty Kinvig, I don't know if I'm saying that right, and I apologize if I am, but that is a co-chair. Pat Kilt is a community representative. Susan McLean is a community representative. Daniel Collette is a community representative. Councillor Jonah Anstead is in for the Village of Ashcroft as the council representative. Mayor Santo Tellerico is the rep for the Village of Cache Creek. Shannon Porter is the Bonaparte Indian Band rep. Chrissy Carey is the Ashcroft Terminal rep. Mike Patterson is also from the terminal, and Mike Bell is also from the terminal. Deb Toohey is the Village of Ashcroft's council alternative. So group coordinators are Patty Shom Moffat, who is the facilitator, and Bryn Roach, who is an administrator. Group advisors are Constable Mark Chupik, which is from the CN Police Service, Constable Luke Ford, which is from the CP Police Service, and Chris Moy, which is Planning and Design. So that is the group of people that are going to be talking about the terminal and access to the slough, or possible access to the slough. Have you heard much about this?
I haven't heard much about it. I've heard that it is closing, and as a member of the community who often took my dog down there and went for walks with my family there, I'm really sad that it's closing. Of course, it's a beautiful area. I think it's one of those hidden gems in Ashcroft that a lot of only people who are local know about, is that the slough is just this beautiful place to go take walks. I don't really have anything to say in regards to it closing besides the fact that I'm sad about it. I don't know what the actual reason is, or if I am justified in being against it. So I'm not gonna outright say, oh no, don't close the slough, because I don't know what their reason is.
Well, what's interesting is you keep saying that they're closing it, but it was never technically open.
Oh, really?
So in order to get to the slough, you have to cross the railroad tracks, which is a no-no.
Okay.
So you're technically not allowed to cross the tracks, let alone, so the way that it works is, to get to the water, which is village property, you have to cross the tracks, which you're not supposed to cross. And then you have to cross so many meters or hundreds of feet or whatever of private property to get to the water. So both of those things is technically trespassing.
Okay.
So
And
technically,
so I
I'm not
guess,
saying that I am one way or the other. I'm just saying those are, in theory, the rules of why.
and so before they really hadn't enforced it, so what's happening now is they are just enforcing
Correct.
their trespassing laws? Okay.
I believe that they are doing a bunch, certain types of construction, like the terminal is doing construction on the other side of the tracks. So that may or may not be a thing. I believe that's what's happening. And so that's an extra step of there's going to be a bunch of machinery. They don't want civilians to be walking in that area and possibly getting hurt within their new construction, as well as everything else. So this working group is made to see if there's an alternative way
Yeah.
to get people safely to the slough without, in theory, breaking any rules.
Yeah. Well, I really hope that they figure something out, because, yeah, like I said, that's just such a beautiful little area in Ashcroft. Like the cliffs there are so picturesque, and I've lived in quite a few different places, and I've never seen anything like the cliffs that are down by the slough. They're really special. I really like that area.
You know, it's a beautiful place. I went there a few years ago with my wife and some friends of mine, and it was great. And I had never been there before, so that was interesting for me, for myself. Troy, I know people might not be able to hear you, but have you ever been down to the slough?
It's been a long time, but that's where I was when I was a kid here. Spent a lot of time down there, but I haven't been there in probably 15 years.
Wow. Well, we'll of course keep everybody up to date as soon as we get new information. We hope to be in close contact with the terminal for any new updates that may come up. But now we're going to talk about the museum. So we're just going to switch between these pictures that are going to come up, and I'm going to read what's going on with the museum. So all visitors will be greeted by a staff member, which will provide them with hand sanitizer and give them a mask if they do not already have one. At this time, staff will remind guests of the 2-meter physical distance rule. Arrow stickers will be placed on the floor and will direct visitors around the museum in a one-way direction. While addressing guests, staff will maintain a 2-meter physical distancing rule. The second staff will guide visitors up to the second floor and clean the handrail behind them, and then will stay upstairs to guide people through in the event that there is more than one group/visitor in the museum at the time. Same time, staff will be communicating with each other and visitors so that people are not in the hallway or stairwell at the same time. And there will also be be able to safely physically distance. Staff will limit the amount of visitors inside the museum to no more than 15 people at one time. However, under the discretion of the museum staff, this number may be reduced to ensure the health and safety of its visitors. Rooms that are not be open to the public will be closed off and signs will be posted. Rooms with limited space will be roped off and or barriers will be installed as to restrict access to visitors. Precautions implemented include meeting outside in a larger space, limiting our time together, staying 2 meters apart. If using equipment and hand sanitizer will be required, we'll limit the use of shared materials, and they will keep spaces and equipment clean by sanitizing. They'll also be monitoring our daily situation, and if we make changes to policies and procedures if necessary, we will inform the community. We will inform and communicate our concerns with other workers and our staff committee. So that is the update from the museum. And thank you to the Ashcroft Village for their Facebook page. That's where I got that information from. But of course, you can check out the museum on Facebook. They've been doing some really cool videos and stuff on there, so be sure to check that out. I do have another couple of things to talk about, such as the virtual art show that starts tonight on the ashcroftartclub.com. So if you go to ashcroftartclub.com/events, you'll be able to see and find a link at tonight at 6 p.m. It's not live yet, so don't go now. But at 6 p.m. tonight, you'll be able to go to their website and find that. So be sure to check that out. It goes for the next couple of days. And this is put on by the Ashcroft Art Club. So that's pretty cool. Now, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says that the CERB is expanded to some who ran out of EI, part-timers and seasonal workers. Now, the CERB was supposed to run out, I believe, as of this month, but in his morning address to the nation, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on Wednesday announced expanded eligibility rules for the Canada Emergency Response Benefit and a plan to top up pay for some essential workers amid the novel coronavirus pandemic. The CERB will become available to Canadians who have exhausted their employment insurance benefits since January 1st, seasonal workers who can't find work because of COVID-19, and those who earn up to $1,000 a month, the Prime Minister said. So Ottawa is also planning to work with the provinces and territories to provide financial help to essential workers, such as those employed by long-term care homes who earn less than $2,500 a month. Now, one thing that I also heard was that bigger box stores like Walmart and stuff are going to, so during COVID, they've given extra money to minimum wage workers, so they've sort of topped them up because people that aren't working are getting, in some cases, more money being off work than people that are working. So companies are paying their workers, their essential workers more, like the grocery store. But now they're going to take that pay away. What do you think?
When's my raise?
When's your raise?
When's my raise?
You should have been working here a few months ago, bud.
No, that's awesome. I'm happy that there's been like I'm always happy to see a bridge between corporate and personal, like a bridge between those big companies and their CEOs and the little people that work for them, like those minimum wage workers who make everything work. And yeah, I think that's awesome. I think it's great when they go out of their way to help those people. And yeah, I mean, that's my only really thoughts on it.
No, that's fair. What's interesting is, so in your case, you know, here you are. I'm not sure if you make the amount that you would have made on CERB, but if you had a job and then it fell through as a student, you might never have worked in your life yet, but if your job fell through and you're looking for another job that you can't find, you could have applied for the CERB opposed to starting to work here, which you might have made more money.
My
But it runs
personal
out.
philosophy, yeah, is that is money that could be reserved for other people who I know need it more than me. I don't pay any bills. I live with my parents. I do not need that $500 for being at home personally. I just don't, and I think it's better saved for others who need it because they're actually out of jobs and they have to support families.
So we have one more major topic to talk about, and that is, of course, the protests surrounding the police and stuff around the world. So let's talk about BC and Canada first, and then we'll talk about what's going on in other places. So there is a story that I found. Thank you, Anne, for sharing this. BC has the country's highest rate of police-involved deaths. Groundbreaking CBC data reveals. So this is a story found on CBC News. And it says that, let me find the actual stats here. So CBC's data also revealed that BC, with 98 deaths, had the highest per capita rate of police-involved fatalities in Canada. 2 postal code zones in BC were tied for the highest rates in Canada. A CBC team spent months combing coroner's reports and court records for police-related fatalities between the years 2000 and 2017. These do not include in-custody deaths, suicides, or deaths as a result of police chases. So that 98 deaths covers from the year 2000 to 2017. So since the year 2000, there's been an average of 27 police gunshot deaths a year, and that's in Canada. That's not just in British Columbia, that's in Canada. So let us know what your thoughts are on that specific stat and with what's going on. And do you think that that is a, for the millions and millions of potential RCMP calls or police callouts, is that a reasonable number, or is one death too many? Let us know what you think. You can email us at hon@ashcrofthub.com, or you can comment on this video. You can also give me a call. We go live again on Thursday. We're not going live on Friday, so yes, this is important. We're going live on Thursday at 3, not Friday at 3, because I have to go back down to the coast for another eye appointment, and I would like to be here to do the show. We're doing a few changes to the show, so I'd like to be here for the next little while at least. So Thursday at 3, remember that. But let us know what your thoughts are on the fact that Canada has the country's highest rate of police-involved deaths. And talking about deaths and protests, now I don't typically follow or like to share CNN-related articles, but scores arrested after far-right groups target anti-racism protests in London and Paris. So this is pretty interesting. It's no longer just contained to the US and Canada. More than 100 people were arrested in London on Saturday after violence broke out as far-right groups targeted anti-racism Black Lives Matter demonstrations. The offenses as of 9 p.m. included violent disorder, assault on officers, possession of an offensive weapon, possession of Class A drugs, drunken disorder. London's Metropolitan Police said in a tweet, far-right groups bombarded police with bottles and occasionally scuffled violently with officers as they staged a counter-protest in central London. Now, I watched some of these videos, and the violence between the protesters and the police is pretty drastic. Like, I didn't even see this in the protests that were going on in the States necessarily. I did see like firecrackers get thrown at the cops and bottles get thrown at the cops and some bricks and stuff, but this was a lot of punching and kicking, which I didn't see too much of that going on in the U.S. So in a place where you wouldn't typically think that there's racial discrimination, because London, I'm not sure what London's history is with slavery or anything like that.
Me neither.
Like the States does, but it was fairly significant what I saw. And now mainly one of the things that they are trying, what these anti-protesters are trying to do, is save statues. So what's been going on is protesters for BLM have been going around and taking statues down that perceivably are of people from the past that indulged in racist activities, and these anti-protesters are trying to save those, to the point where the government of London has actually put boxes around them to try and make it so they can't be ripped down. But so far, police also arrested a 28-year-old man after an individual was photographed on Saturday, apparently urinating on a memorial to a police officer killed while defending Parliament from a terrorist attack in 2017. The man was arrested north of London on suspicion of outraging public decency. Yep. Hundreds of mostly middle-aged white men, many shirtless or clutching beers, gathered in Parliament Square, where video showed a small number of right-wing protesters throwing objects at the line of police, some of whom responded with batons. And a similar thing was going on in France as well. It's pretty much the same story, just with a different location. So that is what is going on with Black Lives Matter, I suppose, at the moment. Other than, of course, Chaz. If people haven't heard about Chaz, it is a very ongoing thing going on. So if you haven't heard, this is a 6-block radius that has been taken over by protesters in the heart of Seattle. They've taken over a police precinct that was abandoned by the police, and so they've barricaded these 6 blocks. It's a pretty interesting story. If you haven't heard about this, go check it out. And again, let us know what your thoughts are on that or anything else that's going on with you guys. And that's pretty much all we have for today. So thank you all very much for watching. Remember that we're going live on Thursday at 3, not on Friday, to accommodate me and my eye. And Matthias will be there, and Troy will be there, and we will see you guys later.
A bit of graffiti.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, we have one more thing to talk about, Graffiti Days. So Graffiti Days did their Graffiti Days drive-by. Thank you, Troy, for reminding me. They did their Graffiti Days drive-by over the weekend, so we have a little bit of footage from that, so let's check that out. So it was actually pretty awesome. We actually gathered a few of our friends down in front of the Star House restaurant, and we got to film it there. So that was very cool. Thank you to the fire departments, the ambulance. I don't think the police were there, and to everyone that was driving a car. Beautiful vehicles, very awesome. Thank you guys very much. And of course, if you want to see more of that, we do have fuller, longer videos of the small parades on our Facebook page. You can check out the longer version of the grad ceremony and of the Graffiti Days drive-by. So thank you very much. Also, Jessica will be with us on Thursday as well, not just myself, Matthias, and Troy. And Alice will be there too if you want to count Alice. So anyway, you have yourselves a safe middle of your week. We'll be back Thursday at 3, and have yourselves a good week. Oh, wait, one last thing here. Let me just say, why don't we just pick Barbara Roden, wherever you are, we hope that you're having a fantastic time.